I never thought my marriage would fall apart so abruptly, or hurt this deeply. For years, I truly believed we were strong enough to survive anything life threw at us. I trusted my wife with everything I had, my heart, my future, and the parts of myself no one else ever saw. But one quiet evening that trust shattered. She confessed she'd been unfaithful. At first, my mind refused to accept it. I stared at her, searching for guilt, for regret, for any hint that this was a mistake she wished she could take back. But what she said next cut far deeper than the cheating itself. With a chilling calm, she looked straight at me and said, "You should be more open-minded. Let me live the way I want." Those words echoed in my head for days. How could she expect me to accept her disloyalty as something normal? How could she ask me to treat her betrayal like it was nothing? The woman I loved had turned into someone I barely recognized, someone who demanded I tolerate being disrespected. I felt shattered, like every piece of me had been thrown to the floor. But as the shock faded, something unexpected rose inside me: clarity. Maybe anger. Maybe self-preservation. If she wanted freedom that badly, if she thought I'd silently endure her cheating, then maybe she no longer deserved the man who had always forgiven her. Maybe it was time to reclaim my dignity. And that's when my mind drifted to Clara, my wife's sister. Their relationship had always been strained, full of years of resentment and unspoken wounds. They barely tolerated each other. I'd spent years stuck between their cold silence and subtle hostility. Clara and I were never close, mostly because the sisters themselves avoided each other. But I had noticed the way Clara sometimes looked at me, quiet, lingering glances that suggested she didn't entirely dislike me. She was nothing like my wife. Clara was honest, straightforward, and never pretended to be someone she wasn't. Then came the family trip. Just the three of us. Days of walking on emotional minefields as the tension between the sisters simmered right under the surface. One night, my wife went to bed early, distant as ever. Clara and I stayed up, sharing a bottle of wine in the softly lit living room. Jazz played in the background. The mood was calm, warm. We talked about everything: childhood memories, family conflicts, her loneliness, my confusion and hurt over my marriage. And slowly the air changed. Our laughter grew quieter. Our eyes lingered a bit too long. There was something there, dangerous, magnetic, impossible to ignore. I knew I was stepping into forbidden territory. She was my wife's sister. But after the humiliation, the betrayal, the feeling of being discarded, Clara felt like a breath of something real. A reminder that I was still worthy of affection. When I leaned in, she didn't stop me. And what began as a spark ignited into something much bigger. It was messy, complicated, heavy with guilt and undeniable desire. But it was honest. Clara made me feel seen, something I hadn't felt from my wife in months. News got out sooner than I anticipated. My wife exploded. The fury in her eyes was mixed with disbelief and a jealousy she could no longer hide. For years she had pushed Clara away, belittled her, dismissed her. Now the very person she treated like an afterthought had something she suddenly realized she didn't want to lose. Being with Clara wasn't simple. At first, everything had to be kept hidden: secret texts, quiet meetups, avoiding family gatherings. But with every moment we shared, I felt a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in a long time. By the time the trip ended, the household was unbearable. Two sisters locked in silence, each wrestling with their own anger and pride. But for me, it marked the start of something new. Messy. Imperfect. But genuine. I'm not claiming I did everything right. I'm not claiming it was the best choice. But after my wife cheated on me and insisted I simply accept it, turning to Clara became my way of taking back control of my life. It was chaotic. It came with consequences. But it also helped me heal. In the end, I realized something simple. When someone breaks your trust and expects you to stay silent, sometimes the only way to reclaim your strength is to do the one thing they never saw coming. And that's exactly what I did.